This guy has always seemed like such a downer. He only has a high school graduation and didn't go to college because he was raised by a single parent since high school. That's kind of problematic, isn't it? He claims to work in the food industry these days, although it's only a ramen store. Who is he attempting to win over? I was invited to these mixers as a draw, and I had this classmate who always looks down on me. I sighed to myself, thinking, this is it once more. But the gorgeous models at the party came running to me when one of the staff members identified me and told them who I really was. My name is Adam. I began working in a neighboring retro ramen restaurant after I graduated from high school, and I've remained there ever since. My mother had been urging me to attend college at the time, but I dismissed her advice, telling her I had other plans. As a child of a single mom, I was aware that we lacked the funds for college. I happened to find a part-time job at the ramen store, but it was a fun place to work because of the great staff. Naturally, I took great pride in the ramen store, but when people inquired what I did for a living, I would just reply that I was in the food sector. It's simpler to put it that way because I've worked there for a long time and have held a variety of positions. That response suffices for the majority of folks, but one person would constantly make fun of me. James was that man. They were high school classmates. James and I didn't really get along. In fact, we didn't really talk much. James frequently received reprimands from teachers, colored his hair vivid colors, and wore his uniform carelessly. Although gregarious, he gave off the impression of being too familiar. He openly discussed hanging out with other girls and making out with other people's partners despite having a girlfriend. When we were in the same class, he would frequently make students from neighboring schools wait for him or go out on dates with different girls across town. He was also well known for his womanizing. I can count on one hand how many chats we had at one point. I didn't even have his email address. However, I met James at a hip bar one day. Hey, is that Adam? I was first taken aback by the stranger who started speaking to me out of the blue. The man who was speaking to me was well-groomed and dressed in high-end labels. I said, perplexed at first because I hadn't noticed him. What? You can't recall. James, it's me. He smiled at me. That's when I at last recalled this extremely familiar classmate. Are you Adam, correct? Whoa, you really haven't changed. Funny as hell. He continued to tap my shoulder as though he was amused by something. After high school, James attended a prestigious institution and is currently employed by a large advertising agency. He announced with pride that he was having a mixer with several gorgeous girls in the bar. It looks like he's still leading a lavish lifestyle. Adam, why are you in this place? This is where I work. Really? And now, what are you doing? I am employed in the food industry, was my standard response. James then erupted into laughter. You're still employed at that ramen restaurant. His abrupt chuckle upset me a little, but it didn't seem like a good idea to argue with him. James had constantly made fun of me. I answered, yes, that is correct. James then let out a louder chuckle and exclaimed, really? Did you not forego college? Are you still only employed at the ramen shop? Man, that's hilarious. An adult employed at a ramen restaurant? That is extremely humorous. No, it's not the ramen shop alone. His constant laughing was starting to irritate me, so I tried to reprimand him. But he interrupted me with, it's okay. It's okay. Man, don't bother bragging that you work in the food industry. This is the most I've laughed in a long time. I ran out of energy to correct James as he wiped tears from the corners of his eyes. James took his phone out of his pocket just as I was about to walk away. Send me your contact details. Now that I'm wealthy beyond belief, I'll treat you to some delicious food at some point. I became a little irritated by his mocking tone. Not really, though. I can also invite a ton of adorable gals. Come on, please. His phone screen displayed images of him eating at a restaurant and posing in front of appetizing-looking dishes with unidentified women. Like this one or this girl. Eating delicious cuisine with attractive girls, isn't it great? The food appeared appetizing in the pictures. To be honest, I had no interest in dating, but I had wanted to explore the popular restaurants he frequented. I was therefore tempted. James seemed to know a lot of great places, some that I had never heard of. It's instructive for someone in the food sector to visit a variety of eateries. Well, let's grab some food now. James obviously thought of me as his backup at these mixers. I may as well take advantage of him too, since that's how he wants to use me. If our schedules align, I answered, giving him my contact details. I kept getting invited to mixers after that. James appeared to be a social butterfly, throwing get-togethers nearly every week. The location was rarely the same, in addition to the girls changing every time. Despite the fact that his research was done just for mixers, his research skills amazed me. James was throwing another mixer tonight. Considering how often he'd stressed, I've gathered lovely models. He was obviously trying to get near to them when he said, "You have to come." James's regular technique was to make fun of me to emphasize how wealthy and successful he was. Of course it irritated me, but having a meaningful conversation with him wasn't worth it. Reluctantly, I agreed to go even though I had no interest in modeling, since I wanted to check out the venue tonight. The mixer this evening took place at a chic eatery that specializes in French fusion cuisine. Our meeting point was meant to be at the door. James declared right away that he was going after Mia tonight. I'm placing all of my money on tonight. Please don't get in my way. I'm genuinely going to win Mia over. He gave me a cold look, but I didn't know who Mia was. Adam, that's the reason I treated myself to this fancy restaurant. You are invited. Please read the room. He wouldn't believe me even if I told him it was just the restaurant and the food that captivated me. With a non-committal nod, I let James get all thrilled on his own. As an influencer, Mia has 1 million followers, and she's adorable. She also has a fantastic body. I have to go grab her. James was swooning over her, and I was too stunned to reply. I managed to end the chat as the start time drew near, and we went inside the restaurant. 3 women were waiting in the private room we were shown. They were all really gorgeous as models. James laughed. Sorry to keep you waiting. Nice to meet you. The most stunning woman grinned and waved to us. I learned that she went by Mia. It became evident throughout the introductions why James was so keen to win her over. We raised a glass and started the mixer with James's well-practiced lead. Following the introductions, James immediately started boasting. I noted the meal and took pictures of it as usual. This guy just keeps taking pictures of the food. He's such a nerd. Fighting the need to apologize, James said, "Sorry about that," and then he went on with his regular denigration of me. Disregarding him, I carried on sampling the food and recording my thoughts. I would respond when addressed, but James spent much of the time chatting with the women. So, this place is really well liked, right? How did you obtain a booking? James leaned forward eagerly at Mia's words. I actually know who owns this place. Maintains secrecy about it. James abruptly lowered his voice. With overly enthusiastic praise, the women said, "Wow, that's amazing." James, feeling good about himself, carried on talking about how he knew the owner. He was talking a lot for someone who claimed it was a secret. I was sighing to myself when I heard someone say, "Hey, Adam," and I looked up. Mia had shifted, somehow, and was seated directly in front of me. Have we met somewhere before? My heart skipped a beat, the way she said it feeling like a pickup line. It was nerve-wracking to hear from such a lovely woman, even though I knew it wasn't. You look familiar, Adam. Well, I don't believe so. I wouldn't have forgotten if I had met someone as lovely as her. I was going to respond, there must be a mistake, when James loudly interjected. Not at all. Since he lacks any uniqueness, you most likely simply see faces similar to his everywhere. James chuckled, saying that a plain guy like him would never meet someone like you, Mia. Even the women appeared surprised by his overtly condescending remarks, even though they were legally true. It was pitiful that he was decreasing his own position instead of raising it while remaining unaware of it. Then James launched into yet another tirade of dull boasting. James went on to brag, "Recently, I worked with a celebrity," bringing up celebrities and comedians that we frequently see on TV. "I'll introduce you to them sometime." I didn't care, so I concentrated on taking pictures of the new dishes and writing down my ideas. Then Mia talked to me once more. "Adam, are you on social media?" "No, not really." As I cocked my head in response to what seemed like a pointless question, she said, "I noticed you were taking lots of pictures." Her question about whether I was planning to post them online finally made sense to me. "Oh no, I work in the food industry." I saw James smirk as soon as I said that. "Don't try to show off, it's just a ramen shop." The women, who had been having a good time, gave me a startled expression. They appeared to be saying, "It's unbelievable. This guy has always been so depressing, even in high school." Because he only has a high school graduation and comes from a single-parent household, he chose not to attend college. These days, isn't that problematic? And ever since he began as a part-time employee, he has been employed at a ramen store. He continues to work there even at the age of nearly 30. An adult working at a ramen store is so ridiculous. It makes sense why he tries to improve the sentence by adding food industry. James persisted, despite my want to clarify that it wasn't about bragging. "Normally, I only treat girls, but since Adam is struggling, I'll give him an exemption. I mean, I'm not exactly an affluent gal. To me, there's no use in treating someone like him. After all, I owe the underprivileged some charity as an elite. Isn't the way I treated him really kind?" The women gave faint smiles in return. It was obvious that they were delayed, but James, possibly due to inebriation, failed to observe. He was setting me down and drinking happily. He most likely believed he was enhancing his own reputation in his thoughts. I was going to sigh when Mia interrupted. She brightly replied, "Maybe I should upload this to social media too," attempting to lighten the tense situation. Taking out her phone, she took a picture of the dish that was still uneaten. The other women started snapping photos of their meals as well, as if they were supposed to. After taking a couple shots, Mia gracefully lifted a mouthful of food to her lips. After the first taste, she grinned and said, "Delicious. But it could be a bit more colorful." I had to respond to her teasing remark. "What do you mean?" I asked eagerly, but Mia smiled kindly at me. Dishes that appear excellent in pictures are more popular these days. Taste is vital, of course, but eye-catching colors definitely draw the attention. Thus, a little green here would be ideal, she said, indicating a section of the dish. I see. The appearance really does matter. Although I didn't think of it as photogenic, I believe I had been careful of that. A simple tweak, like switching up the sauce or garnish, can have a big impact. The garnish is visible. In addition, you might want to consider the plates you use, Mia said, providing me with specific guidance that I never would have considered on my own. James, obviously annoyed that I was chatting to Mia, smashed his glass on the table as I was taking notes. "Read the room, Adam. You are a mere employee of a ramen shop pretending to be knowledgeable about food. For ramen, color is irrelevant." James's agitated tone caused the tension in the room to rise. "Adam, you're destroying the dinner. Please go now." I had never before received such open criticism for taking notes and pictures. James clicked his tongue angrily and gave me a scowl. "Just leave. Are you not aware that you are ruining the atmosphere?" I forced myself not to retort that James was the one depressing everyone. But we're still in the middle of the course. I shot back. I would have liked more of Mia's guidance. James looked intent on getting rid of me. "You pitiful loser, shut up. People like you are not designed for this environment. Simply leave. You're destroying the cuisine." The mood grew chilly as he dismissively waved his hand. Things would only get worse if we stayed any longer. I was receiving helpful advice, but I was forced to go. I made the decision to return later by myself. I got up and started gathering my things. "Aha! You miserable loser, go home and cook some ramen." James chuckled while I made my way to the exit. The waiter with the tray stared at me as the next dish was being presented. "Mr. Thompson, are you leaving?" He spoke to me. James's stupid voice reverberated through the silent room before I could respond. "Mr. Thompson, how come? Was that what I heard? Am I intoxicated?" James chuckled. "You have to be mistaken, friend. This guy works at a ramen shop." The server seems perplexed. "Excuse me, but aren't you Mr. Thompson of Thompson International?" "That's correct." I nodded. "What?" James bellowed. "Before you depart, the owner would like to say hello. Please give me a moment to wait." I nodded again as the waiter asked in a courteous manner. I had an incident that led to me being referred to as Mr. Thompson. One day, after a few years of employment at the ramen store, a foreigner entered. William was our server, and he was raving about our ramen to everyone he spoke to. Then he asked if we would join him, saying that this flavor would be a hit if we brought it to the States. The 60-plus owner declined, stating that it was not practicable. William, however, was adamant and began visiting our store every day. William was always enthusiastic, even in the face of their continuing impasse. I eventually began speaking to him in straightforward English. My English was shamefully bad when I looked back. William never made fun of me, though. He would have serious chats with me, using gestures and bad Japanese. I had bigger dreams after speaking with William, and I had finally discovered what I really wanted to achieve. Up until that point, I had given up on dreams and accepted a life of monotony. I asked the proprietor if I could bring the ramen back to America because I wanted to change that. He advised me not to at first, but eventually gave in after I persisted. That was the start of my hectic days. I studied English in my free time and trained to replicate the flavor of ramen to perfection. I made multiple study visits to America and lived a frugal lifestyle to save money for the business. After making the decision to do so, it took me a few years to open our first store in the United States. We gradually increased our sales and became a well-liked location that was consistently full despite a variety of problems and trial and error. As a result, we were highlighted in renowned publications, on the internet, and even in Japanese media. Isn't Thompson International the company that runs that hugely popular ramen shop in America? Mia inquired, seemingly having suddenly recalled. That's correct, of course. You know a lot of things. I visited the place in Hawaii. I recall being shocked to see that the owner was Japanese after seeing a picture there. That's why you appeared familiar, Mia said with a kind grin. That had to be from a visit-related forced photo shoot. Even though I don't like photos, I had to give in to their pressure. The idea of it being on display at the store surprised me and made me blush. So is this restaurant today also yours? Yes, in a way. I went back to Japan after being successful with the ramen shops in America. I then started opening restaurants and bars. We are currently in a unique restaurant that caters to affluent customers. I arrived to assess the quality of the cuisine, atmosphere, and service. However, James's tantrum interrupted my review. As I was thinking about this, Kane, the owner, who is a tall, attractive man with platinum blonde hair, came over to talk to us. William, who worked in the ramen store, introduced me to this wonderful man. The majority of the upscale eateries I planned are run by him. He doesn't speak flawless Japanese, therefore we constantly communicate in English. I could hear women saying, "Wow," from behind. They're conversing in English. Incredible. Following a quick update and friendly hello, Kane inquired, "Are you leaving already?" I decided it would be better to leave after James kicked me out and Kane had a lot on his plate. As I announced that I was going to be leaving, surprised voices could be heard behind me. What? Let's discuss more, Adam. Yes, I hardly had time to speak with you. I was abruptly pushed back to my seat by two women who grabbed my arms. Before they understood I knew Kane, they had seemed uninterested in me. I was amused by their abrupt attitude shift and made the decision to be honest with them, so as not to give them false hope. I'm sorry, but Kane is already married, so I can't introduce you to him, I had planned on saying. The two women, however, retorted with a smile that they already knew that. It seems that they had noticed the ring gleaming on Kane's finger quite fast. We want to talk to you. Adam, what? Me? The two women started asking me questions all of a sudden. I was taken aback by their enthusiasm, especially because I wasn't there to find a girlfriend. James attempted to speak with the women throughout their interrogation, but they ignored him. Oh, really? Interesting. James eventually gave up trying to respond to their flurry of inquiries. I kept making notes about the food that was being served. Mia, who had primarily been watching, piped out when the main course was served. Can I take a picture? I wasn't used to receiving such attention from a gorgeous woman, so her radiant grin made my heart skip a beat. Since Mia had stated that she was an influencer, it is likely that she shared photos of food online. It might help if Mia promotes our eatery. Yes, of course. However, I'm not particularly good at it. Give your phone to me, please. When I extended my hand, Mia gave me a start, but then she laughed a little. More than just the food, I meant a photo with you. Ha. I felt awkward at the sudden request for a selfie after realizing my error. But is that all right? I didn't like having my picture taken. I had to grant Mia her request. Mia moved to sit next to me when I agreed. Instead of asking someone else to take the photo, as I had expected, she set up her phone's front camera to get a photograph of us with the food. She was compelled to sit near. When she clicked the shutter, her lovely smile and my clumsy smile appeared on the tiny screen. I'm not comfortable taking pictures, but when Mia asked if I could publish this on social media, I couldn't say no. Hi, Mia. Come along for the photo too. In an attempt to get the picture, James pushed in from the side. I recalled that at first he had shown interest in Mia. I started to back away, but Mia called out to James. I apologize, but I'll pass on taking a picture with you because I don't like people who constantly boast and denigrate others. How come? Even so, even with his typical bravado, James was flatly rejected and was unable to move on. He slouched his shoulders and gave me a spiteful yet irritated stare. Adam, how did you get to be president? James didn't seem so much upset at me as sulky. His failure was his own fault, yet both of us had exploited others for our own gain. Thanks to you, James, I said. His brow wrinkled in perplexity. His mockery of me forced me to prove myself, even though I had always accepted a routine life. I put a lot of effort into showing everyone what I was capable of, even in the terrible times in America. I am somewhat indebted to you. James growled sulkily. Shut up. You've always had aptitude and intelligence. You can aspire higher on your own and don't need to put other people down. That seems like ridicule coming from a winner like you. Oh no. Watch out. I'll also go big. Frustrated, James took a swig from his drink. For the first time, the unpleasant atmosphere from earlier had lifted and the supper felt good. Since then, Mia and I have maintained regular contact. Her guidance was really accurate and beneficial. Soon, Mia and I were not only messaging each other more often, but we were also having dinner together more often. Unable to give up on Mia, James would periodically contact her, but frequently lamented not hearing back. Maya responded to my innocuous question about it with a brilliant smile. I blocked him because I was scared of his overt intentions. Her gorgeous smile was so frightening that all I could do was chuckle a little. Mia has great taste and was naturally responsive to trends as a model. I made improvements to my restaurant's menu based on her advice, and young people soon began to enjoy it. As an influencer, Mia would publish pictures of the restaurants she enjoyed on social media. Whenever she talked about my restaurants, they would become so well known that it was difficult to acquire reservations. Mia and I had gotten together professionally, but we had also become partners in our personal lives. We developed a close bond by encouraging and occasionally reprimanding one another. I used to believe that I couldn't accomplish much, although it stung to be made fun of. I could have secretly thought that I deserved to be despised, but the need to disprove those who disparaged me is what has allowed me to get to this point. I discovered that it's critical to see every circumstance as an opportunity rather than wallowing in my emotions. I will never be able to thank you enough for introducing me to such amazing people. I want to carry on having an optimistic outlook and live a life of thankfulness. There's no need in making excuses. You've been let go. Send in your resignation by today's end. I almost prevented a truck from hitting a toddler while I was traveling to a crucial business appointment. I rushed to the meeting 20 minutes late and gave the child's mother the uninjured infant. I was screamed at by my supervisor, who had accompanied me. Are you aware of the significance of the meeting today? It is unacceptable to be 20 minutes late. It's a good idea to come 20 minutes early. I was aware that my tardiness was my fault, but I hoped he would see the point rather than simply lose his temper. Please listen to me, even though I sincerely apologize. A toddler was on the verge of being struck by a truck. What the heck? Which is more important, a corporate deal or a random kid? Someone who can't prioritize doesn't belong here. You are worthless. I felt disgusted and shocked. Deals were more important to him than people. I get it. I don't require this type of companionship. As instructed by my supervisor, I made the decision to resign. I had no idea that my choice would ultimately bring him to ruin. Alex Simmers is my name. I work for a mattress manufacturer. I'm in charge of selling beds at a major company that has a wide range of brands, including beds, sofas, pillows, and cushions. After moving to the bed provided by our company, my parents' back discomfort subsided. The quality of living is enhanced by good bedding. Having learned this from my parents, I joined this company because I wanted to help as many people as I could have better sleep and live better lives. In addition to overseeing a sizable store with offices, I often go to other establishments and hold business meetings as required. It's intriguing to consult with folks who have sleep problems because of the range of concerns they face. It's really satisfying when clients return to praise me for improving their quality of sleep. However, because large furniture manufacturers are producing reasonably priced, high-quality beds, I've been doubting my employment lately. There's a disagreement in the organization concerning future sales methods. One party says we should continue offering high-quality mattresses, while the other pushes for selling more, even if it means lowering quality. I, of course, want to continue delivering top-quality products. There are many inexpensive beds available. In my opinion, the purpose of our beds is to improve the comfort of the fundamental human activity of sleeping. Because of this impasse, the company's policy hasn't altered yet, but I can sense the profit-seeking side of things intensifying. I sometimes feel that I would be better off working for another furniture manufacturer. In the middle of all, the recently transferred Tompkins emerged as a new cause of stress. He belongs to the reform group. He irrationally insists that we sell 3 times as many beds, regardless of how inexpensive they are, despite the fact that the company's official policy hasn't changed. Sales quotas should be based on current situations. To increase profits without any basis or strategy, meeting a 3-fold increase is impossible for us. His frequent disrespectful remarks, like "just force them to buy," show his lack of regard for customers. He only gives orders and does nothing to increase sales. He doesn't even visit the store. His constant focus on raising profits is another reason for my dissatisfaction. I often wondered why Tompkins, who lacks management skills, holds a managerial position. A colleague chuckled and said, "It's all about seniority here. Long service alone can get you a managerial role." Whenever we, the sales team, desperately secure contracts and increase profits, he arrogantly claims, "It's all thanks to my guidance," and sends reports to headquarters overstating his non-existent achievements. Conversely, when customers complain about being forced into purchases, he never faces the issue himself. Instead, he makes one of us deal with it, reporting that the employee lacked cooperation and inconvenienced the customer, shifting all the blame onto subordinates. Working in such a company, I started to lose sight of what I was gaining. Day by day, I just wanted to spread the word about the quality of our beds, not push products indistinguishable from others onto unwilling customers. It seemed like I was working solely for Tompkins. Amidst this, I learned from a hotel, one of my sales destinations, about their plans to build a large resort. If they could use our beds, it would be a massive deal. When I proposed the idea, they even requested custom-made beds. There are still people who need our products. Elated, I was determined to make this deal a success. When I reported this to the company, Tompkins quickly got wind of it and encouraged me with, "You better make it a success." I didn't mind the support and earnestly replied, "I'll do my best." But then he said something unbelievable. "If this succeeds, my promotion is guaranteed." My enthusiasm deflated instantly. To him, getting our beds to more people was secondary. I was just another pawn for Tompkins. No matter how hard I worked for the customers or the company, it was Tompkins who got the credit, even though he only thought of himself. What am I working so hard for? These gloomy thoughts began to consume me. The deal with the resort hotel became more concrete, and I learned that the estimate reached a staggering $100 million. Given the large number of rooms and the desire to deliver high-quality, comfortable beds, this amount seemed trivial to the client. I had ambitions too. If this deal went well, maybe other employees would reevaluate the quality of our products. We could make cheap beds of decent quality, but our brand's beds are unique. If they understood this, maybe they would reconsider. For me personally, this was a major undertaking, a gamble on the company's future. On the day of the negotiation, I got off the train at a large station near the client's location and walked down a busy street lined with office buildings and shopping malls. While waiting at a red light at the crosswalk, I noticed a little boy standing next to me, wearing a backpack. It was just past 2:00 p.m., so he was probably on his way home from school. Off this main road, there are residential areas, elementary schools, and middle schools. As a kid, I remember dreaming of becoming a pilot or a baseball player. Lost in thought, I saw the boy start to cross the road. The light had turned green. I can't afford to zone out now. I have an important business meeting, I thought to myself and stepped onto the crosswalk. Suddenly, a truck turning right from the far end of the street, without slowing down, was heading straight for the crosswalk. The little boy was still walking across. He froze the moment he saw the truck, which didn't seem to notice him and showed no signs of stopping. Thinking he was about to be hit, I ran, grabbed his backpack, and pulled him backward. I embraced his small body and rolled onto the ground, landing on my back. When I got up, the truck had passed by as if nothing had happened. Ouch. Are you okay, kid? I checked on the boy. He seemed stunned at first, but then realized what had happened and started crying loudly. Ah, there. It was scary, wasn't it? I comforted him, stroking his head, and moved to a safe place. He didn't seem injured, but he wasn't in a state to go home alone. I wiped his tears with a handkerchief and handed it to him. Can you contact someone from home? He was still sobbing, but managed to pull out what seemed like a child's smartphone from his pocket. He handed it to me without a word, seemingly trusting me. I'll just borrow this for a sec, I said. I called a number saved as Mom on the phone. A woman's voice answered, Hello. Hi. Sorry, I'm calling on his behalf. My name is Alex Simmers, I said, though there was a moment of confusion. Understandably so, hearing a stranger's voice instead of her son's. I explained the situation as calmly as possible to avoid alarming her. So Ray can't talk right now. I'm calling in his place. Mom, can you come pick him up? After giving her our location, she said she would be right there. Your mom's coming soon. Let's wait here. Okay, the boy nodded a bit. I handed back the phone and then remembered something, my phone. I hoped I hadn't missed anything. I took out my smartphone only to find a slew of missed calls from Tompkins. Reluctantly, I called him back. He answered after just one ring. Alex, where are you? Making our client wait? What are you thinking? Startled by his loud voice, I accidentally dropped my phone. It switched to speaker mode, making his yelling even louder. Where are you now? Do you have any idea how important today's meeting is? You've got 5 minutes to get here, or you're fired. No matter what the reason, we don't need incompetents who can't keep time. The call abruptly ended. Startled by the sudden outburst, passers-by gave me curious looks. I quickly put away my smartphone. Fired? It seemed the boy had heard everything. Whether he understood the meaning of fired or not, I didn't want to look bad in front of him. I had to seem like a reliable adult, or the kid would surely feel anxious. I couldn't really hear. The call got disconnected, I said, putting away my phone. I asked, using the name his mother had mentioned. Your name's Ray, right? Yes. And you are? I'm Alex Simmers. Alex? I have a friend named Alex, too. Really? Relieved to see Ray perk up, I smiled. Just then, a woman calling his name came running. Ray reacted with a mom as he saw her. Ray, I'm so glad you're safe. His mother, tears in her eyes, embraced him. Ray used the handkerchief I gave him earlier to wipe her tears. Thank you so much. I don't know how to express my gratitude, she said. Ray's mother seemed to be around my age, a very beautiful woman. Ray would probably grow up to be handsome too. No, it was just a coincidence. Can I see you again, Alex? Ray asked, tugging at my shirt. His mom chimed in, please, I insist. Let me properly thank you. I can't just let this go. Also, this handkerchief belongs to you, Mr. Simmers, right? I want to wash it and return it to you. It felt wrong to refuse such a request. We exchanged contact information and agreed to meet again later. I'm glad I could help, Ray. His mom seems nice too, I thought as we parted ways. After checking my watch, I broke into a cold sweat. -10 minutes had already passed. I hurried but still ended up being 20 minutes late. Thankfully, the client wasn't mad, thanks to my previous good conduct. The problem was Tompkins. As soon as I left the office after the meeting, he berated me furiously, unbothered by the startled passers-by. I thought about the client witnessing this, but I, who was late, had no right to complain. Do you realize how important today's meeting was? 20 minutes late. It's common sense to arrive 20 minutes early. I'm really sorry, but please listen. There was a child about to be hit by a truck. So what? A random child or a business deal? Which do you think is more important? I was shocked and appalled. He valued the deal over a human life. Making excuses is useless. You're fired. Submit your resignation by the end of the day. By the end of today. What about the deal? It was going well. Why are you worried about that? I'll take over. Anything you can do, anyone can do. You think you're special or something. It was just good timing, right? Something inside me snapped. What's the point of working under someone like this? Even if the deal succeeds, Tompkins will take all the credit. Should I accept being fired? I gave up on arguing further. I calculated my remaining paid leave, wrote my resignation, and submitted it to HR. Being forced to write personal reasons as my reason for leaving, I felt nothing anymore. As I cleared my desk, I felt the stares of my colleagues. "Alex, are you really quitting?" A coworker who went to today's meeting with me asked in a low voice. "Yeah, it seems like I'm fired." "That's terrible. Just for that." "I appreciate your concern. Take care of yourselves." "Hey, Alex. What are you doing? You're so slow. Get out of here already." Shortly after Tompkins rudely kicked me out, I saw a disturbing article in the news online. My former company had launched a new low-priced product. It was clear that the reform faction had gained power. I couldn't keep up anymore. The company I loved no longer existed. Turning off my smartphone screen, I saw my own troubled reflection. I can't show up at Ray's house with a face like this. 3 days ago, I had received a call from Ray's mother, Emily Smith. She had invited me to their home. I crossed the S crosswalk from that day and used a map app to find their apartment. Pressing the intercom at the building, Emily and Ray came out to greet me. "It's been a while. Thank you for taking the time to come." Though I wasn't busy at all, I kept my response vague. She led me to the living room and served tea and cake. Thinking it would be polite, I asked about Ray's father. He might be at work, but it was worth asking. "Excuse me, is your husband here? If it's not too much trouble, I'd like to greet him." "My husband. We're divorced." "Oh, I see. Sorry." "No, it's fine." "So she's raising Ray alone." "He's the only family I have." "I can't imagine losing him." "That's why, Alex, you saved Ray's life. And mine as well." "No family. What about your parents?" I asked, thinking she might still have them, but then immediately regretted my intrusive question. Everyone has their own family issues. "Ah, sorry. Forget that question." "No, it's all right. I haven't seen my parents for a long time, as if they are not around anymore." "I'm really sorry to hear that." "Please don't apologize. Today is about expressing my gratitude to you." Emily placed the handkerchief I gave Ray in front of me. It smelled of fabric softener and was perfectly smooth. "Thank you for the handkerchief. You cleaned it so nicely." "Look, Alex, look." Ray suddenly spread out a paper in front of me. It looked like a math test, with all answers circled and a 100 written under Ray Smith. Ray is in first grade. He has a bright future. A perfect score. That's amazing, isn't it? Sorry, Alex. He's just excited about his first perfect score. No, it's wonderful. I felt warm and content listening to more stories about Ray's school. It was a rare and meaningful time for me. I rarely talk to children. Time flies when you're having fun, and it was soon evening. As I was about to leave, Ray looked sad. "Will you come again tomorrow?" "Ray, Alex does work. Don't be demanding." "Well, I'm actually on leave right now. Kind of." "Oh, I see. Alex is fired, right?" Ray blurted out the truth. "What?" Actually." I couldn't hide it anymore. I briefly explained my situation. No matter how much I emphasized that it was all for my boss's self-preservation, Emily turned pale. "So you were fired because you saved Ray?" "No, please don't worry about it. I was planning to quit anyway, so it was a good opportunity." But still, Emily lowered her gaze. "I'm really sorry. If I had been there to pick him up..." "No way. The truck driver was at fault, and you had work, right? Nothing is more important than Ray's life," I said, looking at Ray, who had fallen asleep on the sofa. "He was so excited this morning knowing you were coming over." "That's an honor for me." I stood up, trying to alleviate the awkwardness. Emily moved to carry Ray, but I offered to do it instead. I carefully picked him up and carried him to his bedroom, trying not to wake him. Wait, this bed, Ray's bed, was from the company I worked for. Is there something wrong with the bed? No. I used to work for this bed's manufacturer. Really? Yes, I really like their products. I was drawn to the idea of improving sleep quality in life. The policy has changed recently, but until then, I was really proud of what we made. Oh, did you know? I found myself passionately talking about my favorite story from the company. This brand is the most popular in the company. The current president created it for his newborn daughter, wanting her to grow up healthy. It went through several improvements. Employees jokingly call it the doting parent bed, but it's truly a great bed. Normally, babies wake up and cry as soon as they're away from their mother, right? But with this bed, they seem to sleep so peacefully. Is that so? Emily's reaction was muted, and she seemed to be looking off into the distance. Maybe my story wasn't that interesting. I get carried away. Well, hearing about the company that made your furniture might not be that exciting. Sorry for the strange story. No, I can see how much you cared about your company. After quietly leaving the bedroom so as not to wake Ray, I promised to contact her again and left the apartment. A few days later, having used up my paid leave, I went to my workplace for the final resignation procedure. It was my last day at the office. The president was there for an inspection, causing a bit of a stir. "What are you doing here?" Tompkins spotted me immediately. I had hoped to leave without seeing him. "I'm here for my final resignation procedure." "What? You haven't quit yet?" "Just seeing your incompetent face annoys me," he sneered. I ignored his comment and was about to walk past, but someone from HR called us. "Tompkins, Summers, the president wants to see you both." "The president? What did you do?" Tompkins asked, clearly unsettled. "Nothing." "I haven't been here," I replied, truly puzzled about why we were being called. In the reception room, the president looked serious. As we sat down, he turned to Tompkins. "Is it true that you forced Alex to resign?" Tompkins was caught off guard by such a direct question. He seemed as surprised as I was. Trying to remain composed, he answered, "No, there must be some mistake. I don't have such authority." He voluntarily submitted his resignation. It stated personal reasons, I believe. The president then looked at me. "Is that true?" "No," I replied. I was told I was fired for being late to a meeting and instructed to submit my resignation that day. "That's what I've heard from other employees as well," the president said. I hadn't expected anyone to have looked into it. Tompkins was clearly startled. While being late is indeed bad and can affect our relationship with clients, addressing and preventing it is your duty. Why did you tell him he was fired? And did you just lie to me? He stumbled for words but then lifted his face, trying to defend himself. With all due respect, President, it was this guy's fault for being late to the meeting in the first place. Blaming me for his failure is misguided, isn't it? You knew the reason he was late, right? And yet you forced him to submit his resignation. Isn't that true? He said there was a child in danger of an accident, but that's just a made-up excuse, Tompkins replied. No, it's not a lie. I really did. Stop spouting nonsense. Where was this so-called kid anyway? It's just your excuse. Tompkins yelled, forgetting he was in the presence of the president. Suddenly, the door to the reception room opened, and a woman and a child entered. What he's saying is true, the woman said. I was so surprised that I exclaimed out loud, Emily and Ray. My child was about to be in a traffic accident, and Alex saved him, Emily said. Who are you people? Outsiders. Get out, Tompkins shouted, causing Ray to hide behind his mother in fear. However, it wasn't Emily who retorted but the president. Outsiders. Are you calling my daughter and grandson outsiders? Daughter. I was the first to react. Catching my gaze, Emily gave a wry smile. I'm sorry for keeping it a secret, Alex. No, really? It then clicked. The president's last name was also Smith. Emily had mentioned she was divorced, so she must have been using her maiden name. Yes, she continued. I contacted you because you were an employee of my father's company. You saved my son's life and then were forced out by your boss. So, after 10 years, you finally reached out, the president said, his tone softening. 10 years. I remembered she had said she was out of touch with her parents, considering them as good as gone. I couldn't ignore such a story, the president said. So, I had my employees investigate. They confirmed that you pressured Alex to resign and that you've been imposing unreasonable quotas on everyone, revealing one problem after another. This is preposterous. You can't just take action without hearing my side. Tompkins still tried to resist, but Ray approached and showed his cell phone. Look, sir. What's this? You got 5 minutes to get here, or you're fired. No matter the reason, I don't need incompetents who can't keep time, Ray quoted, playing a recording. Tompkins's angry voice filled the room. That voice. It's from that time, he exclaimed. I always told Ray to record everything for safety, Emily explained. Ray had realized the seriousness of the accident and had been recording since. As the president returned the phone, he spoke firmly. It seems undeniable that you said he was fired, Tompkins. You're saying it yourself. Cornered by the president's glare, Tompkins finally ran out of excuses. I'll report on the detailed investigation and the appropriate action to be taken later. Leave now, the president instructed. Tompkins exited the room. After he left, the president apologized to me for not being aware of the situation. Also, Alex, if you're willing, I'd like you to continue working here. Don't worry about Tompkins. Please share your thoughts with me. Emily scolded me too. It's hard to find someone who cares about the company as much as you do and who's also a person of character. You regret losing him, she said. I hesitated. I just really like our company's beds. Should I say it? I was planning to leave the company anyway. If there's anything I can say now that I couldn't before, I should say it. To be honest, I'm not very fond of the company's current direction. It feels like we're throwing away our previous experiences and our customers' sentiments in pursuit of profit alone. I don't want to be part of that. I understand, Alex, the president said. But running a company isn't just about ideals. It's not just an ideal. Emily's home has one of our beds. She bought it, right? I said. The president's eyes widened. Is that true, Emily? Yes, she replied. Ray sleeps so well in it. President, you developed that brand with the hope that your daughter would grow up healthy. That sentiment has been passed down to her. So that's how it was, the president said, his tone softening. It was expensive, especially for a single mother like me, Emily continued. But it was worth it if it helped Ray sleep better. I want to provide a better life for those who need our beds. Of course, profit is important, but there are people who need our beds. If there's a way to preserve our approach and protect the company, I would like to work on it. After pondering, the president nodded firmly. All right, I'll appoint you as the project leader. What? A project leader? Pumpkins will be demoted regardless. I want you to take over as manager and research the balance between customer needs and pricing in the field. Yes, sir. You're right. Focusing solely on growing the company is missing the point. We almost betray those who favor our products. He looked at Emily and Ray. I remembered their words about providing a better life for those in need. I created that brand for my awaited daughter out of sheer love. I wanted her to grow up healthy. Profit was secondary. I nearly forgot those feelings. I couldn't believe my voice had reached the president. Thanks to Emily and Ray. I was about to thank them when the president addressed Emily. What's this about being a single mother? Huh. Didn't you elope with some suspicious guy even though you had a fiancé and got disowned for it? Yes. Where did he go? He cheated, so I divorced him. I didn't have the courage to tell you. Should I even be hearing this? The president sighed deeply. I told you to stay away from that man. But it led to Ray's birth, so I don't regret it. Well, that's true. It looked like their relationship as father and daughter might be mended. Subsequently, Tompkins's misdeeds came to light. While I was on leave, other employees had become his targets. After learning about my forced resignation, they began recording his words and actions as evidence. Tompkins tried to make excuses, but the evidence was undeniable. He was transferred to customer service, but lacking the skills, he ultimately resigned voluntarily. I managed to reclaim the billion-dollar deal, successfully negotiating it to completion. The president praised me, and we went out for drinks. I was also working on the development of our brand, which was seeing increasing sales without lowering prices. It's because you believe in and value our products, Alex. Thank you. No, thank you for the opportunity. With your management skills, you could be the next president. No, you're joking. No, I'm serious. Should I take this seriously? Whenever I visited the Smith family for advice, Emily assured me, my father doesn't joke about such things. If I'm expected to fulfill such a role, I want to challenge that. Alex, what's up, Ray? Remember when we went shopping together the other day? Yeah. Well, a kid from my class saw us and said, Ray's dad is so cool. Oh, Ray, stop that. Emily quickly covered Ray's mouth in a panic. Why can't I say that? He may not like to be called Dad. Is that true? Ray looked at me with innocent eyes, leaving me unable to say yes or no. Well, I'd be happy if Alex became my dad. Then we could play every day. Ray. To be honest, I had developed feelings for Emily. As I got to know her and Ray, I found her earnestness and the way she cared for Ray truly admirable. I'd be happy to have a son like Ray, I said, taking the chance. Emily blushed and fumbled for words. Really? Then I'll ask Mom. Ask? Do you mind if Alex becomes my dad? It's not that I mind, but Ray, don't ask such troubling things. She doesn't mind. I'm quite open to the idea. Really? Well, I'm somewhat open to it too, she replied, seemingly not entirely against the idea. Kindness isn't just for others, they say, but I didn't consciously do good deeds. Yet, by holding on to what's important and being honest with people, they truly see you. This is surely important in life. I want to pass on what I've learned to Ray when he's older. I hope he becomes someone who can help others, connect people, and create something valuable.